Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and we are back again today to give you some more high quality education and information goodness here in the Rise of Kingdoms. Well, sphere, we could go with that. But we're going to be touching on a very important topic for me, which is coming down to specific alliance roles. And one of the roles we're going to start off talking today is about recruiting. And this is going to really cover if you're either an officer and you have a role, or if you are just the designated recruiter for your alliance. And I might briefly touch on like a special thing here at the end. We'll see. However, before we get started, as always, make sure you guys sub, like, ring the notification bell, and of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up our Discord. You can find that in the description and pinned comment down below. Okay, first things first. As a recruiter, an important thing here, and I don't believe there's actually one. Let me see if I can even show you guys an example. I really wish I had one on hand. See, they don't. Okay, here we go. So you can see here from an alliance that we're looking at, this is just in one of the kingdoms. You can see here on their announcement board that you can see when you're looking at the join, right? It has the name, it has some of the positions, who are the people to contact, has some additional information, but you at least see this listed. If we look at another alliance, you can see, well, they don't actually have it, unfortunately. Let's look at this one here. Okay, so this one you see, again, they have leader diplo, requirements, English, Russian. Okay, so something, right, but not really specific individuals. Diplomacy, migration, right? So again, some examples. Migration is kind of like out-of-kingdom recruitment, essentially. And then let's look at another one here. Okay, then you see, right, where you kind of have recruitment, diplomacy, so you have some of the options. Now, first and foremost, your name should be in the alliance description. If you are doing, and oftentimes you can actually have someone place this saying recruiter slash migrator, right? Or recruitment slash migration, right? And then have your name if you essentially do both. Recruitment is kind of viewed, like we said, as internal or in kingdom. And then migration is referred to as essentially kind of out of kingdom recruitment. But if you're someone who can do both, then you can list it as such, or do one or the other, but of course make sure your name is in the alliance description, so that way when people that are publicly viewing the kingdom, or if you're a member within the kingdom, you know who's the contact person, whether that's for you to contact, a name you can give to someone else within the kingdom, or maybe someone outside of the kingdom that's interested in migrating. It's just at times good to know who that person is to contact. The next thing here that we're going to touch on that I think is extremely important is having preset messages. To give you some background, right, I was a lead recruiter in 1196 and other kingdoms as well for substantial amounts of time, but the majority and the bulk of what I did was there. At the time when they were an Imperium kingdom, right, I was able to kind of work my way up to the recruiting department, eventually ended up over a period of time leading the recruiting department from the work and the time that I put in. And one of the things that I found was extremely successful was having preset messages. And this could be anything from having preset messages on, I like to use actually like a Google Doc. So I'd have preset messages for if I'm going to message someone in-game, right? Am I messaging an individual? Am I messaging groups? Am I going into another kingdom and messaging someone? Did someone come into our kingdom and they're messaging so I can reach out to them and just send them a chat? Or maybe I'll send them a mail. And then also, am I going to be recruiting anyone outside of the kingdom, right? So am I utilizing other areas to go and do that? But the most important thing is having preset messages and kind of knowing what you're going to say. And by typing everything out, what you'll often find is that you will get some inspiration. You'll actually start piecing together things, kind of like your building blocks. Right. And as a kid, so to speak, right, if you're trying to build blocks as high as you can, or, you know, that's like your goal, right, super simple. Sometimes just writing your message out all the way and rereading it a couple times to try and have it be short, sweet and to the point, concise, and really includes everything that it should, can really be the difference maker when you are reaching out to people. And also it can help you fine tune over a period of time your messages, and then also help you visually think about how your approach should be when you're speaking to people that are potential leads or recruiting leads, or I should say leads that you're finding to recruit specifically. But just writing these things out can actually help a lot, and I think more so than probably many may even think. The next thing here is for point number 3. I think being a good people person, being someone who enjoys going out there and talking to players, you enjoy giving information, you enjoy walking them through, you enjoy responding, because a lot of times when you're out there recruiting, kind of almost like a salesperson, you are usually just throwing a bunch of bait out and you're waiting to see what catches. And when you do find people that catch, oftentimes you will need to be proficient in knowing what your kingdom is about, right? And so I think, again, by doing these things, knowing that you are going to have to speak a lot, it might not just be as easy as you sending a copy-paste message and then they say, yeah, I'd like to come. Where can I go? It's not going to be that easy, right? Now, you might get every once in a while some players or even groups to an extent that might make the process more seamless, but more often than not, you're going to get quite a few follow-up questions, which you rightfully should. And of course, you have to obviously know how to answer those, but you just have to expect and understand going in with expectations that it's not going to necessarily be kind of a couple reply and done. You might sit there and be talking with people for a while. I mean, I remember conversations I would have with players in groups that sometimes would last days, a week or two, right? Just with kind of going back and forth. And that's just, again, you have to be able to manage your time appropriately and be able to have multiple conversations at once. So then let's get to the next one, which is number 4, right? Finding leads. Where do you find people to recruit? How do you find people to recruit? So this one, I can actually show you a couple examples here. So at the moment, if we're looking at in-game, some easy places, especially when the kingdom is starting, or even if your kingdom's been up for a while, even though you'll have a little bit less, because most of the time after the kingdom's been up for a really long time, this could be 6 months to a year, most people have probably found where their place is going to be. The majority of recruiting you're really doing, at least when it comes to internally within the kingdom, typically happens pretty much before KVK 1. And you can make an argument probably a little after that, but for the most part, usually by the time KVK 1 comes, most players have kind of found where they're going or where they're already at. But one of the things you can do would be going in-game and then going to your kingdom, right? Having just kind of a nice recruiting message. Again, this is another example of one you can preset and type up. And just having something here that you are able to speak on, where, I guess more so speak to, by typing it out and then being able to get responses back as well. But having something you can post in Kingdom Chat's important. I think also outside of this, you can refer to often your rankings. So you can go on the ranking boards, and unfortunately, oh gosh, this account isn't even 8, but you can go on the ranking boards. Let me see if I can pull up another one, and then I can show you here in a sec. But once you get there, you can look through some of the individual categories. So you can go through player power. You can go through maybe like individual kills, right? Depending on the kinds of players you're looking for. You can look through different lists, and you can go through them and look at who's not in an alliance, who's in a lower ranked alliance, right? These are just some ideas when you're kind of scrolling through some of the information. You'll be able to figure these things out. And I'll give you an example here just on 2, right? So let's say we go to individual player power, right? If I scroll down the list, I don't know how soon we'll see this here, but if I scroll down the list over a period of time, eventually, and probably, so here you go, like here's an example, right? Some high-powered players that are not in any alliances. These are some people you can reach out to, right? Maybe some players that are not in, for example, like a super top alliance. Like, let me see, FNDJ, let's see where they're ranked, right? So FNDJ isn't even top 6. They're number 8. But they have a top player. Let me scroll right back, see if we can find that person again. And this is just to give you an example here. Right, so you got like here, Vis Jr. Let me see here. We'll probably have to go a little past 150 like we did before. Let me see, LGND. I bet $10 says I missed it already. I bet you I went too far. let me see if I can find this person. I just want to give you the visual. Here we go. So like, here's another guy, right? Or this, I think this was the person. So FNG Dan, right, is one. And again, right, outside of the top 6, but is someone. This is an example of someone you could reach out to. And that's not to say that, again, power, don't look at necessarily as power, but look at it as like where the placing is on the boards. These are how you can potentially identify leads, right, and people that you could message and see if there's any interest, right? And then you can also look at places, for example, like your Discord, right? So let's say that you are, let's say, for example, you're going on, you're going on your Discord, right? You would go to somewhere like, and I'll give you an example here. So if we go to the RoK Discord, you can go on here, join, and you can post ads in this Recruiting You section. You can find players or groups in the Recruit Me channel, which you'll often find, right? Like a good example here is you already see people saying, hey, I finished KVK 3, looking for KVK 2 or 3, I'm a T5 player, right? I'm looking, again, they'll post some stats, maybe what they have. This is another great resource that you can go to find people, and then also have preset messages you can use when you're sending and reaching out to leads there. Okay. Then let's get to, I think I'm on number 5 now. What did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're on 5. So 5 here is introduction and kind of what information to give, right? So when you're introducing yourself to someone that is a potential lead, right? You want to make sure that first and foremost, be kind of courteous, approach it a little professionally, where you are giving some information on who you are, right? You might say something like, what kingdom do you represent, and maybe the alliance you're in, right? Give a little bit of an introduction, right? You're a lead recruiter for, this kingdom, whatever ranked alliance, if you want to include those. And then you want to give some information, right? So some of the information, right? And this is based on who they are, right? So is it an individual player? Did they provide any stats or information they have? And you can kind of build your introduction around that. Are they a group? You probably build your introduction differently around that, even though there will most likely be some similarities. And then after introducing yourself, you'll give some information maybe about your alliance, right? Maybe how you can accommodate them, maybe some information on what the kingdom is, right? What are the rules there? Are there any alliance rules that are indifferent or aside from what the kingdom is doing for theirs, maybe how some of the events are managed, like MGEs, right? These are important things to kind of include, so that way the player or groups or players that you're referring or that you're reaching out to know a little bit. Then from here, number 6 is, this is kind of once you get the bite, right? So once you've got a bite on someone, right? Someone's interested, you feel like the conversation is continuing to the point of where, they're asking for more information. Maybe they're kind of giving you an impression that they're considering. This is really kind of where it comes to like your ability to be a closer, right? Are you able to close and convert as many leads as you possibly can? A lot of that will come into how you are able to feel the conversation, the tone of the conversation, where it's trending, how you are speaking to them at that point, how you're responding. And then again, this really comes down to you as an individual, right? Having to get, like I said, a good feel, and then putting yourself in a position to at least where you can have the highest chance to close, right? And to convert to where this players, groups would consider your kingdom, and for the sake of this video, alliance over another, whether it's in that same kingdom or in another kingdom. And then we end up getting to, I think this is point where I'm at 7 now. And so this next one is, I think it's very important to keep a spreadsheet, some kind of documentation on how you are tracking and just kind of keeping up with information based on leads. And a big reason why is that even if your chat history saves, for example, in somewhere like a Discord, it saves for a little while in game, it's important to know who you spoke to, what was the last status note, what are their details. These are really good things that, in my opinion, successful recruiters do very well. And I can tell you, I do this myself, and I think it's very important. It just kind of helps you stay on track. And also just let you know where a conversation left off, so you know where to pick back up from, which is another reason. Number 8 here comes into knowing if a player is a good recruiting candidate. Are they questionable, or are they a no-go? You should have a way to identify and label such players, right? You can use something like green, orange, red, right? It's just pretty easy, right? Like your stop sign colors. Green obviously means you're good. And these are just examples, right? Again, the kind of template things that you can do if you want to adopt this or use something else. And those players basically mean if they're green, right, they're good, right? You can bring them in anytime. It's kind of first available or next. And then if they're orange, those are people you might want to do a little bit of a background check on. You might want to ask them, hey, what kingdom did you play in last? What was your alliance name? What was your player name while you were there? And maybe you'll go in and you'll go and ask and reach out to some of the leads, some of the officers there, and you can just have, again, kind of another example of a copy-paste message. As a recruiter, it's really your job to make sure that the people you're bringing in at least have the highest percentage chance of, in short, not going rogue or like causing chaos, right? Not necessarily kind of being bad apples. And so, and then if they're red, that just means it's a no-go, right? You probably would put them on your white list or your black list for recruiting, right? You would want to make sure that maybe other people outside of your alliance, like other alliances, know that as well, but at least for you internally. Then the next point we have here, which is know what types of players you're looking for, right? Are you looking for rally leaders? Are you looking for defensive garrison captains? Are you looking for open field players? Do you just need more rally fillers, so to speak, like more T4 players, right? Really get an idea on what do you actually need right now. If it's just activity and it doesn't really matter, then maybe you just have some minimums in place. But if it's more than that and something a little more specific, then again, right, know what you need and know what you're looking for and how to identify, because it'll also help you save time when you are out there recruiting to make everything you're doing more efficient. The next one here, or last two, is going to be one, I think it's very important to communicate with your leader and your officer team. So if you have updates that are coming in, you got leads that are generating, start getting familiar with kind of just writing an update report, right? It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. It can be something as simple as, hey, as of today, right, there's 5 players I found that are interested in coming. There's a couple I'm speaking to. And there's a few other leads that I've generated. I'm just waiting to hear back from. It could be something as simple as that, right? And then the people that are really interested in coming, right, you can give some brief details, right? Like what's their player power, right? Do they have specific commanders that are already expertised, right? Where do the players fit? Are they more open field? Are they rally leads? Are they rally fillers? Whatever it may be, right? Just, again, kind of giving brief descriptors, and then make sure you update your lead on where you're at, because if you're updating your leader, if you're updating your officer team, it's less likely that someone may follow up with you, and you can be proactive, and it just kind of shows your professionalism. And the last thing I'm going to say as a recruiter is that it's very important for you to know your kingdom inside and out. You basically need to be almost as what we would usually perceive police officers, or every police officer, to be, which is that they have their handbook memorized front and back. And it's very important that as a recruiter, you basically know your kingdom front and back. You need to know what all the current rules are, what are the current policies, how are all the events being currently managed. You need to make sure that you are up to date on everything at all times, because the information you are giving to players out there is what will factor if they decide to come to your kingdom or not. And that's how you can either make, right, convert, or lose recruits. On top of that, if they come to your kingdom and they find out that something is different than what you told them, that can be a turnoff. That can lead to players going rogue, or players not following the rules, or them migrating out at the first opportunity they got, right? And now all that effort and work you put in to recruit someone is wasted, right? And then also consider what the backlash might be to you on how people might view you as a recruiter. So again, remember that you have your name is kind of what you're really putting out there, right? Your pride, right? Your word, so to speak, your worth. And so it's very important that you have a full understanding of how your kingdom operates. With that being said, the very last thing I'm going to touch on, and this is kind of the special part here, is and I'll probably make another video on this, but I wanted just to kind of briefly talk about the difference between alliance recruiting and kingdom recruiting. And I'm going to give a very short TLDR version here, because I probably will make an expanded video. But I am always going to be of the viewpoint that I think recruiting as a kingdom and for the kingdom is a lot better than recruiting for your alliance. This video really focuses on how you as an individual within an individual alliance playing in a kingdom, right, recruiting can help your alliance specifically. But I am a big believer that being pro-kingdom in how we do certain things, specifically recruiting, I think is a lot better than just having it kind of be pro-alliance, which even though that's where this video focuses on, and that was the intent of this video, not to confuse anyone, because obviously I did want to make sure I was giving good information on how you can fulfill this type of role within your alliance. Again, I hope that more kingdoms kind of develop more of a pro-kingdom approach rather than a pro-alliance approach, at least when it comes to certain specific things. Finally, with all of that being said, that is it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to cover much more roles that you can have in alliances and really dive more into this kind of beginning stage process that I've noticed there's just kind of this void out there when it comes to these types of specific pieces of content that I'm really excited that I'm able to talk about and share with you. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below. Is this something that you already do really well? Did you learn some things from watching this video? Did you maybe just not realize that there was this much that goes into just one type of role for an alliance? I'd love to hear anything and everything down there. That is it for me. Until next time, we will catch you later.